Joining us this morning with advice on how to be a successful leader and deliver results in '09 is Michael Andrew. He's the author of How to Think Like a CEO and Act Like a Leader, Practical Insights for Performance and Results. A big name, but a great book. Michael, welcome aboard.
Thank
Happy
you,
New
Frank.
Year.
Good to be here.
Tell us, why'd you write the book, and give us a little bit about your background as well.
Well, I started my career in finance, and I got my MBA and a post-MBA degree, and about 20 years ago, I went into the leadership and executive development field, and had experiences working with senior leaders all over the world, both inside large companies and as owning my own consulting practice. And what was evolving and percolating was putting this all my lessons learned and knowledge gained in a book. So I wanted to write a book that did two things. One, that increased the reader's comfort level with their business acumen, their sense of business. That's the how to think like a CEO part, but also give the reader practical insights that we can all apply day to day to be consistently more effective.
Yeah, and you don't have to be a CEO. These are kind of life's lessons as well, which is great.
Absolutely. And actually, the book is geared to anybody that works for a living. But I put the CEO piece.
And that's all of us. Last time I checked.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, let's jump in, Michael. You've got some great insights here. First, separating issues and personnel. And I'm too nice sometimes, but you had a good point there, I thought.
Well, that chapter is called Treat Issues Coldly, People Warmly. And you know something, Frank? We can do both. They're not mutually exclusive. And that's the difference between leadership and bossship. It's dealing with the issue head on, but doing it in a respectful manner. And the one example I always think of is, remember, I don't know if you're as old as me, but President Reagan and Tip O'Neill. Tip was from Massachusetts, Speaker of the House, liberal.
Right.
Reagan was our president, conservative. Those two disagreed quite often on so many issues, vehemently on so many issues. But you know something, they did it in a very respectful way, and they were great buddies at the end of the day.
It's good to have
great role models.
Good to talk and kind of work through things a little bit. Enhance your know-how and your know-who. What do you mean by that?
Well, since the beginning of time, man has always had to enhance and develop their know-how, whether it be hunting, or in the agricultural era, or the industrial era. In today's knowledge era, it's very important to keep enhancing our know-how. But just as important as enhancing our know-how is our know-who. And our know-who is our network of relationships. It's people that we know that we can call to get answers, to help us make a decision. And when I look back at all the leadership programs that I've ran for a lot of these major corporations, the executives they valued the new things they learned, their know-how, enabling them to look at their business in new and different ways. But what they really valued was their know-who, the expansion of their relationships and networks inside the corporation and outside the corporation.
Absolutely. And I guess being a CEO, you think you're kind of on this pedestal, but it's okay to ask a dumb question, right?
I have a chapter there called Have the Wisdom of Columbo. Do you remember Detective Columbo from that TV show?
Absolutely.
He would scratch his head, wear his wrinkled coat, and ask all these dumb questions to the murderer. And the murderer always thought he had the wool pulled over Columbo's eyes because he was asking these dumb questions. But every dumb question got Columbo closer to the core and proof of who the murderer was. Now, in business, it's having the confidence, not only the wisdom, but the confidence to ask the dumb question. And how many times have you been in meetings when people might say, Frank, that was a great question, when really it was a dumb question, or something, Frank, I wanted to ask that question. So having the confidence to ask the dumb question really is...
Well, it also creates a forum so they won't be afraid to ask another question somewhere down the road, if it's an important one or whatever the case may be.
I always say that, exactly, and I always said that when I got my MBA, the number one thing it did for me, it gave me confidence, a certain confidence to ask those dumb questions.
Sure.
So it served me well.
And I like this one. Just be candid and direct. It's okay if you're a CEO. You got to tell people. Sometimes you got to be harsh, or you got to be. I don't like that. Try to change it.
That's a perfect way. That's a perfect way to state it, Frank. It's tough being candid, but that's why I think we call it work. And Jack Welch wrote a best-selling book called Winning, and he had a chapter devoted to the biggest dirty little secret in business is the lack of candor in business. And I think if people are really and truly your greatest asset, you've got to be honest with them, and you've got to be candid with them. And by the way, that goes right back to treating the issue coldly and people warmly.
Absolutely. And stay one step in front of everything, and show a little love too, I guess. It's a good one. You
like that? Yeah, stay one step ahead. That's all about being proactive. And I know in the business that I'm in, I'm on conference calls every day throughout the week. And you can tell when people come prepared to these meetings or these conference calls. I always say, if you just spend 10 minutes getting prepared for the meeting,
That beats none at all.
You're probably 10 minutes more prepared than the next
Right.
person. And so it reminds me of Satchel Paige when he says, "Don't look back, something might be gaining on you." Showing a little love. That the other part of your comment is all about, there's a saying that people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And I think of, so I think of my father. He was a foot doctor, podiatrist. I assume technically he was a good one, but what made him successful was that his patients enjoyed talking to him because he would talk to them about invariably any topic that was of interest to them.
Yeah, I heard a story the other day. Someone called Mike Milbury, used to be the general manager for the Islanders, and someone said that he would call season ticket holders, a couple each week just to say thank you, and if you're on the other end of that phone call, it's like, oh, thank you so much.
It's an amazing thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
So that
care.
epitomizes. Good job, Mike Milbury. People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care.
Well,
Yeah.
Mike, all the best with the new book, and
Thank you very
have
much,
a happy
Frank.
New Year as well.
And likewise.
The book, once again, is called How to Think Like a CEO and Like a Leader. Mike Andrew, thanks so much once again. And Kim, I'll toss it over to you now.
All right, gentlemen, thank you very much.